by a country mile for several years to come. We'll be the world's fastest growing large economy. Why is that? There are 4 things happening in India today which are driving enormous wealth creation by the companies' names that I've already given you the names. The 4 things that are driving wealth creation are, in the last decade, we have created thrice as much infrastructure as we did in the first 60 years of independence. That has major non-linear impacts that are poorly understood. If time allows, we'll discuss some of that today. Secondly, very quietly and without anybody noticing, we are the only large economy which in the space of 5 years has changed the direct tax code and the indirect tax code. It has seismic implications, but the implications are obviously not being spoken out loudly by people who don't want you to understand how powerful these impacts are. We'll discuss some of them to the extent I can openly talk about this. Thirdly, had we met in 2015, had Dhanam been kind enough to invite me here in 2015, I would have told you our banking system was bankrupt in 2015. With your money, your taxpayers' dollars, my stock market money, the banking system has been rebuilt. We now have the strongest banking system amongst the world's large economies that has huge ramifications for the next decade or so. And the final piece, the most nonlinear piece, the piece which is utterly unique to India. What we have built on the digital economy has no precedence. It doesn't have any precedence in America or China or in Europe. It is utterly unique to us, and it is changing the economy in ways that companies who want to make money are making money, but everybody who's making money in modern India keeps their mouth shut. I gave you a simple demo 5 minutes back. I could sit here and do this all day, but you guys will get a little bored. But the moral of the story, remember, is anybody who's making money in modern India, that person's name you guys don't know. All the fellows who are not making any money, those names you are fully cognizant of, right? So let's get into the infrastructure piece, right? So you would be reading these stats in the newspaper every day, right? The road network has doubled in 10 years. Airline network has tripled in 10 years. Bank accounts have trebled. Broadband connectivity is up 50x. All of that is true. But that doesn't help you understand the key point about why this is non-linear. So if I take a simple example, so say we have a big cluster of clients, Marcellus does, in the Coimbatore-Tirupur area, right? So in 2015, when I used to visit that cluster, I used to ask clients, how much time does it take for a truck to go from Coimbatore to Ludhiana? And the view back then was that 9 din to lagta hai, 8-9 days lagta hai. And it doesn't matter whether you install SAP, RFID, rocket launcher, it's going to take the same time because the truck will stop at the state border, right? So it didn't make any difference whether you had any brains or you didn't have any brains. A textile business was a textile business, right? If I go to Coimbatore this evening, right, I ask the same constituency again. The average player will say, used to be 9, now GST aa gaya hai, so road network has doubled, plus GST has come. So 9 ki jagah, it now takes 4-5 days for a truck to go from Coimbatore to Ludhiana. But when I meet the smartest textile companies, they say, Saurabh, if we now implement SAP and we implement RFID tracking, radio frequency tracking, and we use a 3PL company. Remember 3PL, the truck is not yours. 3PL, even the truck, the fixed asset belongs to the logistics company. Then our working capital cycle is now down to 2 days. 9 ka 2 ho gaya, right? Something as basic as taking stuff from A to B, the smart guys pull away from the unsmart guys, right? In simple terms, doing business in India in 2015 was like playing cricket in my building in Bombay. We are all so awful that I am Virat Kohli in our building, right? Doing business in India in 2023 is like my playing in the IPL. First ball, my stumps will be blown apart, right? Night and day difference, but something as basic as logistic explains this, allows you to understand it. The other way to understand is this chart on the bottom left, right? That's India's mobile data consumption. We now consume more mobile data than any other continent in the world. Forget country, forget China, forget USA. We consume more mobile data than the whole of North America put together, right? And you can see what happened, right? 2017 mobile data took off because what happened in 2017? Jio, right? 273 rupees per Mbps to 0 almost, right? So as mobile data takes off in 2017, around 20 companies realize that the empires of the next 10 years are not in building hotels or shops or malls. The empires of the next 10 years are dredging your phones dry of every shred of data on your phones every minute of the day. My phone also included, by the way, in this, right? Those 20 companies are doing it. The smaller competitors can't do it. It's tough. It's expensive. Those 20 companies are making billions of dollars, dredging your phones dry. And as I discovered 5 minutes ago, none of you know the names of those CEOs, right? Which is good for them and good for us as shareholders as well, right? This is the second layer of non-linearity. Technology, to dredge everybody's phones dry and make billions of dollars from it, requires heavy-duty investment in top tech talent and in coding, in buying software, buying place on the cloud, but most importantly, buying top tech talent. Roughly $1 billion you need to play in the big league with these 20 companies in terms of tech, right? So that's the second non-linearity. Let's go to the third non-linearity. In September 2019, the finance minister cut the corporate tax rate from 35, she reduced it to 25, right? Everybody was there, right? September 2019, corporate tax rate comes down, 35 to 25, and yet in the recent budget, as she rightly said, total direct tax collections, the blue line on the bottom left, total direct tax collections are at a record high, right? She's not lying, the data is real, right? I studied economics for 4 years at the LSE. I could not find I did not have a single course which said you can cut the corporate tax rate by a third and get much higher tax collections as a percentage of GDP. Why did this happen? Why has it happened so fast? What's the driver? Formalization, yes. Why? GST, bang, bingo, right? So GST is a critical driver. It makes everybody in this room, GST makes everybody in this room an extended arm of the enforcement directorate, right? Because as everybody knows, right? So Marcellus, we pay GST, but we collect an input tax credit. To collect the credit, we have to give up our supplier's details. Our supplier has to give up his supplier's details. That guy has to give up his details. So unless some fellow is, sitting in his own room and making pan and eating it himself, right? He'll get caught in this net, right? Which is why the GST collections are doing this. Now, when a GST inspector finds a tax evader, does he sort of share the information with the direct tax side or keep it to himself? I haven't seen the YouTube video, but I presume they share the information. When they find a GST evader, they share the information with direct tax side. So if you do the back of the envelope maths, a company, an SME, which is evading direct taxes, TDS, corporate tax pay profit, promoter pay profit, a company that is evading taxes, direct taxes, will make around a 20-25% operating margin. Once that company pays full tax, the profit margin goes to 0, right? So nothing more complicated than that. As the GST expands, the direct tax people are catching more evaders. As they catch more evaders, what happens to these people? Most of them are shutting down. So if you see the data on the Ministry of Corporate Affairs website, every year, official data, right? This is not estimation. Every year, 8 lakh companies are winding up, right? Shutting down, right? Dukan band. Right? That is the de jure number. The de facto number, I reckon, is 2 to 3x 8 lakhs, right? Now, when these companies shut down, that market share migrates to the formal sector, right? So, pipes mein ho, paint ho, jewelry ho, adhesive ho. When the informal sector shuts down, naturally, share migrates to the formal sector, right? That's the first layer change. Second layer change kya hai? When the fellow becomes formal, when he goes from informal to formal, does he carry on buying flats in Thrissur or Noida? He doesn't know. He buys life insurance, he buys health insurance, he buys PMS, AIF, mutual fund, which is why you can see in the data from SEBI, from RBI, that people like you are now investing $300 billion a year, per year in financial savings. 10 years ago, this number was 50 billion. 50 billion ka 300 billion ho gaya. 6x in 10 years, courtesy formalization of the country. Now, as you save more money, the cost of capital drops, right? As all of us save more money, the cost of capital drops. So 20 years ago, the 10-year Government of India bond yield was 13 and a half. Today it is 7.3. I suspect a decade hence, when this young man is working in the fund management industry, it will be closer to 3% rather than 7.3%. So as the cost of money falls, does everybody benefit equally? No. The large benefit more than the small, right? So a titan benefits much more than a small jeweler in Kochi. So this is the next layer of non-linearity, right? We are financializing the country, but the large benefit more than the small. Right, let's move forward. I'll skip the banking system piece in the interest of time. Let's go to the digital piece, because this what's happening here has no precedent anywhere in the world. So the story starts in a way with Nandan Nilekani ji and him quitting Infosys in 2009, I think March or April, to join the then government as a cabinet minister to launch Aadhaar. Right, to 2010 Aadhaar started implementation. 2014, I think they got their 1.4 billion Aadhaar IDs sorted out. All of us stood in a queue and did our fingerprint and our retina, right? Honestly, I didn't quite understand at that time what this was for. So I used to think this is for showing the policeman at the airport. Because otherwise they used to say, it doesn't look like you. So I thought Aadhaar mein, that problem will go away, right? I thought that was the point of Aadhaar. And thankfully for me, my good luck, I bumped into Nandan at Bangalore airport in 2013. And the great man gave me a ride in his Innova. For once, I was super thankful for Bangalore's insane traffic. I got 1 hour, 10 minutes with the legend in 2013. And he told me step by step, 10 years ago, what the next few chapters were going to be. So I emerged from that Innova, a changed person, understanding what the game is. So I then watched the next few chapters unfold, which is as follows. May 14, new government came to power. September 14, Nandan met the new Prime Minister. October 14, Dhan was announced. The new PM said, Modi ji said that by 2015 end, every Indian will have a bank account. I thought, how is this going to work? And then I saw what they had done, which is, since our fingerprint is Aadhaar, they put a scanner in place in every bank branch. You jabbed your fingerprint at the scanner read your Aadhaar ID, auto-filled the bank account opening form. And in 2015, I used to visit the Department of Financial Services with my colleague from Delhi, Nite, who's here. We used to visit DFS to see every morning the war room, where every bank CMD would have to say, last 24 hours mein kitna account khola. And if you haven't opened enough account, you would be transferred somewhere ignominious, right? So by the end of 2015, India did 500 million bank accounts. So bank accounts and Aadhaar both got sorted out by 2015 end. 2016, Mukesh Ambani ji announces Jio, right? Rollout was 17, but announcement 16 mein hua. Nandan sits down with NPCI, and I'm sure with the blessings of the powers that be, NPCI in 2016 announces UPI, right? Unified Payment Interface. Again, initially not clear to people like me how it's going to take off. GST was a big boost. If you see the data from the last 3 years, every 6 months, UPI is doubling. As we speak, UPI accounts for 52% of national income. That's $1.7 trillion. 7 billion transactions a month. By far, the largest system of its kind in the world. And it's not just that these numbers are large. The use cases, the impact on the economy is mind-blowing. So let's do 3 quick use cases in the interest of time. 3 of the most powerful use cases that UPI is conferring upon us. So let me use an example. Outside Marcellus's office in Andheri East, we have a young chai wala, coffee wala from Telangana. He migrated to Mumbai just after the Delta wave. He set up shop in September 2021. And I was amongst his earliest customers. So 1.5 years ago, he used to do around 500, 600 cups a day, right? 500, 600 cups a day he used to do. I used to give him 50 rupees. He would give me 25 rupees change, right? And it was, kind of, that was the last of the old fashioned life where I could give cash and get cash back. If you come to our office, you're most welcome to come to our office, but the most important thing in our office is not our office, is this chai wala outside. Because he's got a big sign saying no cash, no credit cards, only UPI. So I asked him, boss, why are you doing this? Suicide kar rahe ho? Suicide. He says, nahi. He says, there are 3 reasons why I only do UPI. Firstly, my productivity is higher. Because otherwise I spend as much time giving you change as in giving you coffee, right? Secondly, he said, I don't have a vault here. This is a street side stall. So if you give me cash, I'm going to take it home in the local train. That's hazardous for me. And thirdly, most interestingly, the fellow who sells them milk, doodh, that guy says, I don't want to come in my 2-wheeler every 4-5 days to collect money, waste of time for me, fuel for me, plus 5 days ka working capital cycle the doodh wala doesn't want. So the doodh wala has told him, pay with UPI every evening for the milk, right? So the doodh wala's working capital 0. Doodh wala is not wasting time and money spinning around in endless circles in Bombay. Our dude collecting in UPI, paying in UPI, right? Now, not only is our chai wala making his own life easier, can he evade tax by doing UPI? You can't evade tax in UPI, no? So NPCI is saying 20% of SMEs in India are solely operating on UPI, which means tax collection, tax evasion gets throttled off at source, right? Now look at the next layer of the use case, right? So for every UPI account, there's going to be a bank account, right? You can't do UPI without bank account. So in this gentleman's case, the young chai wala's case, his bank account is with Kotak Bank. So what can Kotak Bank see? Kotak Bank can see 8,000 credits every day multiplied by 25. And you don't have to be a genius banker like Uday Kotak to figure out that this is a working capital finance opportunity which comes once in a generation, right? Millions of SMEs, click by click, every penny you can see, unless you're completely daft as a banker, you'll figure out how to make money from this. And indeed, HDFC Bank, Kotak Bank are saying and showing that the fastest growing part of their loan book is unsecured working capital finance for chota businesses, small businesses, right? And they're lending to small businesses at 11%. In the black economy, these poor fellows would have borrowed at 25%, right? This is the next layer of the use case. Now, the next layer of UPI, the next logical movement of UPI is to ONDC. ONDC basically destroys the monolithic internet platform which has characterized the West. ONDC again architected by Nandan and friends from Bangalore, right? Unique paradigm in the beta phase. I reckon ONDC will come. It blows apart the current e-commerce paradigm, and again it changes India in a way that is fundamentally disruptive for other countries and very powerful for our country. In the interest of time, I'm not going to get into it, and I think I would request Mr. Kurian and Dhanam to invite Nandan Nilekani ji to do a session on ONDC. I would also love to listen to the great man. Incredibly disruptive what's going to happen, and without Aadhaar, without Jan Dhan, we couldn't have done UPI. We couldn't have done FASTag, we couldn't have done CoWIN, we couldn't have done DigiLocker, right? Without all of these things, we couldn't have done ONDC. And each of these pieces is creating a completely new way to do business, which no other country has been able to pull off. This is super disruptive, right? Everything that we know about conventional business will gradually change in the next 10 years, courtesy what Nandan calls digital public goods.